Well, you look at that. Smoothie is finally being useful for a change. Maybe she'll do more than just chase after the Straw Hat crew. But anyways, with that out of the way, let's talk about that cover page for a moment. So, it's not just a Luffy ship now. We also have a Usopp ship, or Usoland ship. That's hilarious. I'm just gonna say right now, I busted a gut. When I saw that cover page of this chapter of One Piece, and you saw not Luffy, but Usopp's face on the ship, and you just see, like, his expression from, the Dressrosa arc, I'm like, yo, that is some quality. That is just imagine that ship, okay? Just imagine that ship at the end of this series, when, like, we reach the final big arc of the series, when the war arc happens, Luffy's fleet's coming in, you see Barto's ship and how it looks like Luffy, and then you see, Usopp's ship come in, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, I can already see it. I can already see what Oda's probably going to be doing. He's probably going to be designing ships in the future, more people that join, Luffy's fleet. Most likely, they're going to have ships designed after certain individuals of the Straw Hat crew. For instance, one might be a Sanji ship, one might be a Nami ship, one might be a Robin ship. You get my point. That's basically what I'm saying. I feel like that's what Oda's trying to imply, especially with that cover page with, the Tontatas in that cover page of this chapter. But getting off of that, though, because that's not really important, I just wanted to talk about it because I had a good laugh from it. Let's talk about what happened. So, Capone made a pretty ballsy move with this chapter. He took it upon himself to lure Big Mom, Pero, and everyone else that was with them away from the Straw Hat crew. Now, the only one that is chasing at the Straw Hat crew right now is Smoothie, which, as we've seen from Smoothie already throughout, this arc, Whole Cake Island arc, we know for a fact Smoothie is, she's definitely not good at what she does, or her job, so to say. Now, this could possibly be different later on. For instance, maybe she might prove herself, but everything we've seen thus far, she isn't relatively crazy. Now, we have a bunch of forces surrounding the island to where the Straw Hats are going at, which that's going to prove to be a challenge, but Smoothie overall, that's not that bad from what we have seen. So, Capone did a very good move. He lured a lot of people away where the Straw Hats can get some of the, weight off their shoulders where they can finally move on and try to rescue their captain. Now, from what was stated in the second half of the chapter, Capone is not necessarily trying to assassinate Big Mom anymore. He's not going after that. Even though it looks like he's trying to do it, even though he was putting up a very heroic front and saying that's what he was going to do once Sanji was about to leave, that's not what he's going to do, because he even says once everybody leaves and he's just by himself basically with his crew, he's like, we don't have the time. We don't have the time to be able to assassinate Big Mom. It's impossible. Our hands are full right now just escaping and just hopefully this cake, makes it to where she calms down. That's basically the whole point right there. So Capone, he's taking a big loss for everybody else. He's trying to prove himself, and he's also doing it for his wife. That's the main reason why he's doing it, which, Capone is a character. I really love him. At first, when I saw him introduced, when, all of this began, when Zoe started and all that, we saw what he did to Peckham's, I was like, really, Capone, you're gonna be that scummy? And I was just like a little bit upset with him. But now seeing how much he has developed and how his family is, how he's a family man, how he treats his crew, I just can't help but say I like the guy. I really do like the guy, and I do hope this isn't the last time you really see the character in a long time, because he's been very fun to have, especially in all these recent chapters of One Piece. Now, with that though, let's talk about the reunion. Sanji is finally back with the crew. He is finally back on the Sunny. And to greet him, as soon as he jumps onto the ship, Nami runs at him, hugs him with a very cute face, might I add. A very, very cute face and adorable expression. Like, I'm serious. Like, I was like, that's too cute. And I was like, yo, Sanji, you deserve that. At the very least, you do deserve to have something like that as soon as you get back on the ship. But then Nami went back to her old antics. She got away from Sanji when he tried to, hug her and all that, which is pretty funny. But, Sanji's finally back. He's finally back on the ship. It's been a while. It has been a good long while since he's actually been on the ship. He's finally back on it, and it seems like what he set out to do with the whole issue with, Big Mom, to, with his family, the Vinsmoke family, it seems like that is all basically behind them now. Speaking of the Vinsmokes, they are still something that needs to be addressed, because we do know that they were coming in to save the Straw Hats, and since they're technically now away from Big Mom, what's the Vinsmokes really going to do? Like, what role are they going to play now in the upcoming events? The only thing I could assume is probably getting Luffy away from Katakuri. That's the only thing I could assume. But that's for another discussion another day. Still, though, Sanji's back on the ship, and we get to see, the aftermath of, what Big Mom did. Sunny has seen better days. We see some parts of the back end is kind of messed up. The front end's a little bit messed up. Just Big Mom was wrecking the entire ship. And Frankie, as soon as he sees the ship, he's gonna freak out. Like, that man is probably gonna be like, really? Like, really? You guys have been only gone for like a couple of days or whatever, maybe a week, and look what you've done to the ship. He's gonna be a little bit upset. But overall, though, Frankie always did say that no matter what happens to the ship, he will be there to repair it and fix it. So it's not the end of the day. It's just like, Frankie's probably gonna freak out when he sees, the shape of the ship. But at the same time, he might be a little bit happy too with the ship. You want to know why? Because the ship did tank a Yonko. In a way, it had a Yonko on board eating Sunny, and Sunny was able to hold up for long enough and all that for, the Straw Hats could get out. Sunny didn't technically sink. So that is impressive. So most likely Frankie is going to be happy, upset. He's going to have a bunch of emotions when he probably hears the story of what happened to, half of the crew. And so with all of that little stuff out of the way, I think it's finally time I talk about the very, very crucial moment of the chapter, what everybody's going to be talking about, that final panel, the final page, the final couple of pages of the chapter, and that is the Luffy versus Katakuri fight. Now, overall, that segment of the chapter, there's not a whole lot of progression. There's not much of a change compared to the last, scene we had with Katakuri and Luffy, but there is a big difference at the final panel, and that is Luffy just took a very heavy blow. Now, if we back up and we think about what's been stated already, apparently Luffy has been, having multiple fatal blows hit at him, like he's been taking multiple fatal blows, but he's not been going down permanently. But after seeing what happened at the end of this chapter, it does look like that blow is probably very dire, more than the other blows he has taken thus far. Because let's look at the expression of Luffy at the end of the chapter, okay? You all remember the famous expression Luffy made when Ace died, when, he was holding Ace in his arms, and Ace died him in his mouth. He opened his mouth up, he looked up, his eyes were white, just blank, and he was just crying. That expression is the exact same expression we have at the end of this chapter. When Luffy takes that blow, you see how his mouth is wide open and all that, which proves that it was probably a very fatal blow. And that might push Luffy over the edge in a way. It might push him to the point to where he might be able to unlock his Haki, his observation Haki, to compete with Katakuri. Now, let me explain why. We need to remember, the reason how Haki works and how it evolves, how people get better with it, is through the process of stress. If you're under a lot of stress and all that, and you're in a very extreme condition, Haki will present itself and get a lot stronger. For instance, Usopp is a perfect example of this. When Usopp unlocked his Haki, when he was able to take down Sugar, he was able to do that thanks to the extreme stress he had on his shoulders. And so, since Luffy is under so much stress right now, we gotta look at all this, okay? He's been fighting for hours upon hours against Katakuri. This big man that is basically Luffy, but better. On top of that, this man has awakened Devil Fruit. This man, if he gets out and leaves the mirror world, he's just going to take out all the Straw Hats like it is nothing. And then to push it even further, Luffy's also very aware that his friends are in trouble. They're being chased by Big Mom. He knows for a fact what happened with Pedro. He knows that Sanji's an issue to where he's having to make cake. It's just a big mess. And so you know for a fact Luffy is under a lot of stress. And with all these wounds coming in, him having to worry about bullets coming in from, Flambe and all that, from what was we saw in this chapter and what was introduced in the last chapter, you know that this man is basically just at the point of breaking. And with that blow that was just done to him in this chapter, it might finally set him over the edge of just complete stress. Because, let's look at, what happened to him in the chapter. The reason why Luffy even took that blow in the first place, like why Katakuri was even able to hit him, was thanks to Flambe. Now, I don't know how many noticed that, actually, but if you pay attention towards the final page and all that, you see to where Luffy, he actually looks down at his leg, and you see, like, a mark come out of his leg, and you see this little dot, like a panel before, you see this little dot coming in, which is representing, you know, a bullet from Flambe's group. You know how she was telling them to shoot at Luffy? Well, one of those bullets, they actually came in and hit Luffy's leg, and then he got distracted, he looked at his leg, and then Katakuri came in and did wham, right in his side. And as we know, observation Haki, in general, to be able to utilize it, you gotta stay with a clear mind. You gotta be able to, you know, not get too angry, aggressive, and all of that. And with all of this going on, basically, it caused it to where Luffy wasn't able to pay attention. He was too preoccupied with his wound, where he got shot, and he wasn't able to properly predict or fight against Katakuri, which that's how he took that blow at the end of the chapter. So, yeah. Now, I've seen many already speculate that that could potentially be Luffy seeing the future. That is a possibility. I do think it is. It is a possibility that what we saw at the end with what, you know, the wound Luffy took, it could be him seeing the future. But I don't know, just the way Flambe popped up and she was smiling since Luffy hasn't really got to see her, I feel like that wasn't seeing the future, but in fact, that is a wound he took because this is a strong opponent. So, we'll see where it goes. We'll see where Oda wants to take us. But for now, I'm going to end it there. So, let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about this chapter? How do you feel about what's going on with the Ovens group and all that? How he's telling everybody to break the mirrors? A little quick headcanon or just, you know, Fury right now. I'm going to assume that all the mirrors are going to get broken, and there's going to be a couple mirrors thrown into the water. Jinbei's probably going to jump into the water and probably get a mirror to get Luffy out of the mirror world. That's my theory. I'm just, you know, throwing it out there. That's a potential possibility. Something like that might happen. But, yeah. So, I want to end it there. I love you guys. You have a wonderful day or night wherever you live. Please be safe. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. Please be safe, stay warm, stay healthy. Chibi out.